Luis Ruelas, the husband of the Real Housewives of New Jersey, has acknowledged his terrible behavior during the season 14 finale. Unforgivable statements were made by him regarding Margaret Josephs and her family, and they were completely offensive. The manner in which he spoke infuriated his followers, and they could not believe that Teresa Giudice remained silent and listened to him. In light of the massive criticism, what does he have to say about the situation? The official statement that he issued can be found next. RHONJ, regarding the horrific finale behavior, Luis Ruelas addresses. Since quite some time ago, Teresa Giudice and Margaret Josephs have not been able to get along with one another. Teresa made a conscious effort to make friends with Jackie Goldschneider, a previous adversary of hers, during the 14th season of Real Housewives of New Jersey. After that, she convened a gathering with a few members of the cast, as well as her husband, Luis Ruelas, and her attorney. In spite of the fact that it was supposed to be a significant discovery about Margaret, it turned out to be nothing of the sort. Their only confirmation was that Margaret had communicated with Luis's former partner. In addition, they asserted that the ex-girlfriend was using the reality show star to deceive others about Luis and other things. In order for the women to voice their complaints, Dolores Catania and Jennifer Fessler organized a Last Supper for them to attend during the conclusion of the show. During the time that Teresa was getting ready to leave, Luis made the following statement about Margaret: "Tell her to go away from our family." What else is there to say? I pray that Margaret and her family are afflicted. I pray that her effing son endures the same kind of suffering that I did, as well as the kind of suffering that other members of our family have endured. When they heard these statements, viewers were thrown into a state of disarray, since they knew Luis was warped and had a murky side. Having said that, this was very under the belt, especially considering that Margaret's kid had never appeared on the show before. Since of the amount of criticism that was directed against him, he must have been aware of what others were saying, since he posted the following on his Instagram story. Luis Ruelas, in essence, made an attempt to justify his conduct by providing an explanation for why he was so angry and by doing it in a roundabout way. However, he later pointed out that what he had said was incorrect and that including children in the situation is never the solution. The fact that it was included in his narrative means that individuals who do not follow him will not be able to view it. Furthermore, it disappears after a period of 24 hours. Is he being honest? Following the posting of this by Luis Ruelas, Bravoholics shared it on their various social media platforms. To what extent did his fans believe that he was serious in his apologies, and what were their thoughts on the matter? That was not an apology to Margaret. Rather, it was the devil attempting to maintain his presence on the stage. However, he is not sorry that he said it, even though it is on camera. You are correct in what you have stated. For your part, the show has been ruined. Not only does that not constitute an apology, but he also did not apologize to Queen Marg. Following the backlash, Louis made the decision that he needed to make a statement. Not her children, who did not sign up for the show, but Margaret herself should be the recipient of your criticism if you have a problem with her. All children, regardless of their age or the identities of their parents, should be off limits. It would appear that Luis's apology did not accomplish what he had hoped it would. Last but not least, it is going to require a great deal more than just a few remarks on Instagram for viewers to even have a slight liking for him. What were your thoughts on the apology, and does it in any way have any significance? Or, as someone else put it, did he see the backlash and feel the need to take measures to repair the damage? Share your opinions with us, and make sure to tune in to the RHONJ alternate reunion on Bravo this coming Sunday. The night the season 14 finale of The Real Housewives of New Jersey hit our screens, few could have predicted just how explosive the final moments would be. Cameras captured every stunned reaction, from gasps in the audience to the castmates' frozen expressions. The tension between Teresa Giudice and Margaret Josephs had been building all season, but nothing foreshadowed the incendiary words that would erupt when Teresa's husband, Luis Ruelas, took the stage. As viewers settled in for what was billed as a grand reunion-style showdown, they were instead blindsided by comments so harsh they felt like a physical blow. In the aftermath, shockwaves rippled through social media, water cooler conversations, and the halls of Bravo alike, leaving the entire Housewives empire to reckon with the fallout. When Luis finally spoke, it was clear he wasn't there to play nice. The husband of Teresa Giudice, a reality star accustomed to confrontation, didn't mince words. Mid-confrontation, eyes blazing, he turned to Margaret and declared, "I hope her fucking son suffers the way I suffered, the way other people in our family suffered, dealing with a woman like that." These weren't the garden variety insults Housewives fans have come to expect. They crossed an unspoken line by dragging a private individual into the web of reality TV drama. The comment hung in the air, cruel and undeniable, forever coloring what was meant to be a climactic reconciliation of long-running tensions, people.com. Across social media platforms, the backlash was immediate and furious. Fans flooded X and Instagram with outrage, accusing Luis of stooping to a new low and calling for Bravo to take action. Conversation threads exploded with disbelief. How could someone endorse wishing pain on an innocent child for the sake of televisual spectacle? Commentators lamented that this moment marked a disquieting shift in the Housewives' ethos, from feisty banter to outright malice. Even those who've defended the franchise's no-holds-barred approach paused, recognizing that certain boundaries, especially ones protecting children, should never be breached in pursuit of ratings or reunions. Behind the scenes, Bravo heavyweight Andy Cohen did not hold back his condemnation. On the Bitch Sesh podcast, Cohen labeled Luis's tirade the darkest moment in ONJ history and admitted he would have gone absolutely mental if someone dared invoke his own children in such a manner, people.com. A father of two, Cohen's changed perspective underscored the gravity of Luis's misstep. In a franchise built on family drama, mentioning children in unfavorable ways is a line few are willing to cross. Cohen's words resonated not only with fans, but also with network executives, who publicly questioned whether the reunion should even proceed after such a jarring display. Cast reactions were just as damning. Dolores Catania, never one to mince words, fired back at Teresa during the Off the Rails special, telling her bluntly that her husband's behavior was wrong and unacceptable, Bravo TV. In a tense exchange that laid bare the moral lines everyone else seemed to respect, Dolores held her ground, insisting that family is sacred and children should remain unscathed by reality TV feuds. Her comments, delivered with steely resolve, crystallized a sentiment shared by many viewers. Oh, in the war of housewives, some weapons are simply too toxic to wield. To understand what led to this breaking point, it's necessary to revisit the simmering feud between Luis and Margaret. For months, Margaret had insinuated that Luis had called her son at work, attempting to dig up dirt and exert leverage reality. According to Luis, these unverified allegations inflicted real pain on his family, who watched as falsehoods took wing on tabloid pages and internet forums. By the finale, Luis felt pushed to defend his honor and that of his children in a forum designed to entertain. Yet in trying to reclaim respect, he instead reignited raw wounds and introduced a new dimension of toxicity into the show. 2 days after the fireworks, Luis took to Instagram to issue a public apology. "The finale was very tough for me to watch, and I wanted to address it with you all," he began, acknowledging the gravity of his actions. In a candid post, he admitted, "After watching the finale, I was disappointed in my actions in bringing up Margaret Joseph's son. The reason he was even brought up was because I have been dealing with being falsely accused of calling Margaret's son at work, which is simply not true." He continued to express regret, saying, "Still, I know better not to bring someone's child up, and it is something I deeply regret. So I do want to apologize and acknowledge that I was wrong." People.com. Luis sought to provide context for his lapse in judgment, explaining that he and his family had endured a lot of frustrating things behind the scenes. He highlighted the toll that reality TV drama can take on loved ones, especially children observing the public spectacle. "There's been a lot of toxicity on the show that has affected everyone on the show," he wrote. "We have been dealing with a lot of frustrating things behind the scenes, and it has been very hard for our entire family and my children who have been really impacted by all that's happened at the hands of certain people. Two wrongs don't make a right, and I deeply regret saying what I said." People.com. Yet even as he apologized, the fullness of his remorse remained a point of debate. Some critics questioned whether he truly grasped the permanence of televised words, while sympathizers pointed to the raw emotion that can consume anyone caught in a high-stakes family feud. Did Luis genuinely learn from this moment, or was the apology yet another calculated move to protect his brand? In the court of public opinion, certainty is elusive, but his willingness to own the mistake, however belated, carried its own weight in a world where many double down instead of stepping back. Later, Teresa Giudice publicly affirmed her support for her husband, describing his apology as the right first step and reminding fans that every family has its battles. "He's not perfect, but he loves our children and would never intend real harm," she told E! Online, emphasizing Luis's humanity beyond the soundbite E! Online. Her defense underscored the complexities of marital loyalty under the glare of reality TV scrutiny, where personal missteps become franchise fodder and unconditional support can be mistaken for enabling. This episode marked a turning point in how viewers interpret housewives' behavior. Historically, cast members have hurled epithets at each other, labels like cheater, liar, or worse, but rarely have they dragged offspring into the mix. Luis's comments shattered an unspoken code, revealing how fame-driven conflict can erode even the most fundamental taboos. In future seasons, producers and cast alike will be more conscious of this boundary, aware that breaching it risks irreparable damage to personal reputations and audience goodwill. Behind closed doors, one can imagine Luis replaying the final scene on loop, each echo of his words a reminder of how far he strayed from both personal and collective standards. Perhaps he recalled his children's laughter at breakfast or the peaceful moments before reality TV drama entered his life. The instant regret etched itself into his consciousness, a jarring wake-up call that some lines should never blur, even when the cameras roll. For the Giudice Ruelas household, the fallout extended beyond tweets and headlines. Family dinners turned into impromptu strategy sessions. How to shield the kids from hurtful whispers at school, how to manage press inquiries, and how to restore a sense of normalcy to their home. Teresa and Luis, united by love and seasoned by past controversies, leaned on each other to navigate the storm. But the episode served as a stark reminder that reality TV spills into real life, and reputations once tarnished are hard to polish. On a broader scale, the incident sparked debates about the ethics of reality television. Critics argued that producers bear responsibility for stoking feuds, handing microphones to those primed to deliver viral moments. Others contended that cast members must police themselves, maintaining personal integrity even under orchestrated pressure. The Luis controversy illuminated the delicate dance between authenticity and sensationalism, prompting both industry insiders and viewers to reassess what they hope to see on screen. To Luis himself, moving forward requires more than scripted interviews and social media statements. True redemption means demonstrating consistent respect, on and off camera, for the people he encounters, especially vulnerable family members. It means owning mistakes privately before they go public, and choosing words with care even in the heat of confrontation. For a man whose life is magnified through reality TV lenses, these shifts are both necessary and arduous. As season 14 closes and the franchise gears up for a shakeup, all eyes are on the next chapter of Teresa and Luis's journey. Will they lean into the drama, risking further entanglements with Margaret's camp? Or will they adopt a more guarded approach, prioritizing family unity over headline-grabbing confrontations? The answer may define not only their personal brand, but also a new standard for behavior in a series famed for its unfiltered intensity. In the end, the real test of Luis's apology lies beyond viewership ratings and tabloid chatter. It rests in the hearts of those he insulted, the trust he seeks to rebuild with Margaret, and the way his children recount their father's legacy years from now. If he emerges with humility and a genuine commitment to growth, The worst of that finale may become a catalyst for true change, rather than a stain that never fades. For fans of RHONJ, the saga continues, now tinted with the sobering lesson that some words pierce more deeply than any cocktail-fueled critique. Whether Luis Ruelas can transform this nadir into a redemption arc remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, in the drama-soaked world of Bravo's flagship franchise, the boundaries we draw and those we cross resonate far beyond the final scene.